Lux, who's co-hosting this with me. Lux.
1 second. There you go. You didn't count me in, so I wasn't 100% ready. There we go. Okay, I'm here now. Sorry about that. Yes, hello, I am Angel Lux, and I was expecting a countdown, and I didn't get one. No worries about that. No worries. Yeah, I am the other co-host here on this podcast we're calling ExCog Radio, and this is our first official episode moving forward. And joining us today, we have some lovely guests. Should we go and introduce Miss Tomoyo first?
Yep.
So Tomoyo.
Hey everyone, I'm Tomoyo Furukawa. I am part of the Citadel Online Discord as well. I have my own FC on Celia. And yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Alright. And we have Mr. Variel again here today.
Yes.
He also...
Hello, welcome back. We're in fact in my FC house right now. So the ground floor of the bar.
Oh yeah, I should pop that open on stream. There we go. Boom. There's the house. So yeah, we're at Variel's FC house today. We're gonna do this brief little introduction and we're gonna show it off. And that's how we're gonna do every episode actually. We're gonna shoot on location somewhere at least. Not decided where. You can go ahead and apply for it maybe later on if you're interested. So yeah, that was Variel, our second main co-host, guest host. Think you're gonna be main host depending on availability going forward. And we had Tomoyo, which is joining us from both Citadel of Light, a friend of mine, and she's also a big FC person, and that's our main topic for today. And the other guest we have, which is also a really big community and FC person on Lich, is Morgana Browne. Go ahead, Morgana.
Hi everyone, my name's Morgana Browne. Some of you may know me from the Silver Valkyrie events, because I am its lead. We run events on Lich, and now we can run events for the entirety of Light, which makes me so excited to be able to have people come over from different worlds and get involved with what we're doing. So good. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking to these guys today about free company stuff, because it's very important.
It surely is.
Yeah, the thing about FCs, everyone has like a different way of approaching it. Me, myself, I started playing the game back in 2014 with two friends. We had our own FC for the longest time, and then they quit and I had my solo FC, and that was really nice. You imagine having your own free company chest back when inventory space was a problem. Oh, wait, what am I saying? Inventory space is always a problem. Lol.
It'll always be a problem.
It'll always be a problem.
I find it
like this has to be an episode on its own. Inventory space and its problems.
I'm just gonna say, I find it impressive that we now have so many ways to store things. You have the glamour dresser, the armoire, your chocobo saddlebags, 2 free retainers, your own personal inventory, which is now slightly increased from what it originally was. The stack size was increased from 99 to 999. About 24 items were moved into the currency tab. Back in the day, Ventures and B-Stripe currency were items that you carried. And yet, somehow, it's still not bloody enough.
Everyone just hoards too much stuff because they like, oh, it's fine, I can keep hold of this, I've got inventory space. But none the more for that. We'll leave that all for another episode.
Yeah, that we said that can definitely be an episode in and of itself. The amount of inventory we have and all the broken promises of more that we never got. Had you looking at you, Yoshi P.
That's the side track that we're gonna get lost down.
Oh yeah, it is. So yeah, we introduced ourselves. Do we want to take a quick peek around the house, Variel? And have a little look-see. I'll shut down my iCam for now and go into HUD mode.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm also gonna do something.
First person.
This is the ground. This is the ground floor, or the bar. I like to call it the red room. Over here we have somewhere where you can put your coat and get signed in. We have the actual bar here, and then up here is like an extended storage space. Not entirely finished.
Lofts are hard to make though. Like, impressive.
It's there's a lot of little things that you can see spotted around if you want to pick out details. For example, this little shelf up here has the tobacco box. It has a couple of spare wine glasses. It has a honey pot for flavoring drinks. Over here we have the fireplace. I managed to get the Harshafont painting up on the fireplace.
Oh yeah.
Thanks to a housing glitch that the lovely Miss Morgana taught me. And obviously,
I've done my fair amount of decorating in my time.
here we have the orchestrion in the corner, complete with a tonberry ready to stop people from abusing the orchestrion role.
No, makes sense.
And up here we have the stage. The handy thing with having the blank partitions at the back of the stage is that the appearance can be changed, which is obviously useful for a stage. And of course, over here by the front door, I've managed to find out that the Four Lords picture, the one that you get for completing that entire storyline, fits almost perfectly up above the door.
Very correct.
It looks great there.
Yeah, it really does.
It really does. Yeah.
Even though it is a little bit cut off, it fits entirely.
Yeah. And I've also got some crossed halberds. I bought them a while ago before the price on my server crashed. Feels really bad, man. If you follow me downstairs, this is going to be the trophy room in the future, but I haven't fully started organizing it yet. But
I love how the two hosts jump over the edge, but the two of us that roleplay have got roleplay walk on and are walking around this house.
At least I'm having the common decency to take my own staircase. But the idea behind this room is to have as many interesting trophies and mementos of things that have happened in the game. For example, over here, I have the flower vases from the canals/shifting altars, complete with matching flowers above the unending journey. Over here, I have the Garuda couch and the Ifrit head, or I've got the altar to Pazuzu. I have the three big boys in ARR together as a set. Over in this corner, I've got the 24-man stuff. Over here, I managed to get my hands on a set of Tsukiyomi tank trimmings.
Which are still quite expensive.
Yeah, apparently. They're like 1.2 million on the market board here.
Because they added...
Not that expensive.
No, but the thing is, they added them into Tsukiyomi, the patch after she was relevant when everyone was farming her. So...
Yeah.
There never was like an abundance of them, and people really liked them because they're awesome.
Yeah, like they're easily the best. They're also the only one with a proper background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you can see, I'm still hunting for more trophies to put downstairs. So if you follow me upstairs. Oh. Alright. This way.
You got an armorier there.
Oh yeah. There is a. Oh yeah. You can use a placement glitch, which we might explain in a future housing episode if we do it, to place things on the staircases. So I've got the armoire here on the staircase.
Oh.
Alright, cool. Well.
And if you follow me upstairs, this is more of a functional floor, unlike the ground floor. So we have all of the various crafting facilities.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't get all of them because we're only in a medium house.
Oh yeah, there's a limitation to those, even though they're like fairly useful.
You need to be, they're only good for leveling. But you need to be in a mansion to get all of them. Hey, don't go in there! Come on, what's the point of me giving a tour if you're just gonna wander off?
Sorry.
We've got all of them around the edge. We've also got a few functional pieces of furniture, well, functional looking pieces of furniture here. Like the the fabric rack next to the clothcraft loom. And I've got this nice little thing in the center. The ivy pillar here fits perfectly inside the glade couch.
Definitely.
Oh wow, yeah.
If you stand on the middle and look down, you can see the corners. which it shouldn't have, but let's forgive the modelers,
Mm,
line up perfectly with the inner struts of the couch.
yeah.
Wow, that really does line up super perfect. Like if you just clip your camera through it, that lines up way too perfect.
It's almost as if it were intentional.
Yeah, it really does seem like it was.
Yeah, and I've also got a table clipped into the wall here for the indoor flower pots.
Ah, smart.
If you follow me into this room, it's quite small, but the idea behind here is this is the commander's room.
Mhm.
RFC kind of goes with a bit of a nautical / mercenary theme. So this is the commander's room. We've got map and a map table. We'll stand a wall plastered in things that need doing.
Goodness me, that's a lot of things that need doing.
Yeah.
Yep, that's me as well.
I guess seeing as this is in my FC house, I can plug it, by the way. If anyone's on Lich looking for a smaller yet still active FC, send me an application. We're looking for people.
So that's Variel Ambergold for which FC?
Auxiliaries.
Auxiliaries.
Yes.
Right.
Seeing as we're going to be discussing FC drama later, and how to handle it, I reckon sitting in the fireplace might be more appropriate for that topic of conversation.
This is certainly a hot topic.
Oh man, that's gonna be an interesting topic, alright, when it comes up. But let's get started on the actual part of the podcast, right? So I think we should start at the simple basis. And I think this is a pretty good idea, anyways. So for those who are just listening in and just want to know what an FC actually is, it's a free company. It's basically the same idea as a guild, where people can join in and talk to many. There is different types of FCs, so there is. And we usually just break them down into the size that they're in. So we generally have small and large FCs, and then there's medium FCs, which kind of fall within the middle of them too as well. So I think we could talk of like what are the advantages and disadvantages of small and large FCs. So I think
we could just go around the table and everyone discuss what kind of FC they have.
Yeah.
And the advantages and disadvantages that it brings. Because
So
if anyone at home has paid close attention, unless Angel has the HUD turned off, everyone sitting at this table has a different FC tag. We're all in different FCs.
Besides me, because I vote.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Well, I mean, Wanderer is a different FC tag to everything we've got.
So-
Yeah, because I visit this world on Lich, and my FC is on Zodiark. That's why you don't see my FC tag.
God bless the world visit system. It finally let me sell my Shurigane Castle walls for 9 million gil.
Jeez, nice work.
Right.
Nice work.
So let's get back onto things. I think we'll start at my at my side. We'll go clockwise around the table, or anti-clockwise. We'll go anti. Sorry, my brain does not work. And right, so I run a large FC. By large, I mean like we have 400 members in our FC. So advantages and disadvantages to running a large FC. Disadvantage number one, it takes so much organization. It's basically a full-time job. When you're in-game, you're constantly being asked questions, what to do, how you're going to organize it, when you're going to organize it, who's going to do what, where are they going to do it. Now, you may think that'd just be normal for an FC leader, but when you have 70, 80 people online all at once, trying to ask you the same thing, it gets quite annoying.
Yeah, and chaotic sometimes too.
And chaotic, yeah. Advantages though, you meet lots of people. So there's never a time you're going to say there's no one on to do content. there's always someone on to do content.
That is true.
So, like, that's a huge advantage to running a large FC, is where you're always going to have plenty of people to run content. And I think that's where, like, if we're going to discuss the types of people who want to join a large FC, those who want to run content all day long. So generally, that might be those who are busy, they might be working, right? But they also just want to come in and they want to be able to run content with people they like, per se. And that's kind of why you would have people join a large FC. I think, I was trying to think of another disadvantage, because there's more disadvantages to running a large FC than running it, than anything. So drama exposure, I think just as I know we'll go into drama later, but just as an idea, drama is more prevalent in a large FC as there's just more people. So personally, yes, it does happen more often, but because there's so many people, it gets watered down. Now, it's not to say that that's a good thing, but it kind of just helps with the fact that you haven't lost just every member to one incident.
That is true. I have some stories up in this of FCs as well, because I have seen a big FC collapse in less than 2 days, from 400 people to 5. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That sounds like a story for later on in the show, huh?
Yeah, it's just large FCs are rather difficult, and I think one thing you need is a really strong leader, you know, or leaders, if you want to put it in.
A strong leader and strong vice leaders. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, so, like, for me, where I've ran communities for years, I have an idea how things work. I know how to manage damage control. I know how to manage the people. In one respect, I can tell you how good the FC runs without me, and that's that I left the game for 3 months, came back, and it worked. Everyone was still okay.
There is actually something that I could contribute to this as well. Is my previous FC that I was in before this one was a very large FC with about just shy of 200 people in it, but it did not benefit from good leadership like Ayuki's one does. So all of the problems with a large FC were very obvious then. There were a huge number of inactive members. There were literally hundreds of people that hadn't been on, well, over 100 people that hadn't been on in over a year. Very little was done actually through the FC. There were no events. There was very little in the way of an FC spirit. Quite a lot of people actually thought I was the FC leader for a while at least, because I was the most active person there, certainly more active than the actual leaders. Oh. So it kind of felt, in a sense, like we weren't in an FC, we were just sort of 15, 20 friends hanging out in this gigantic, empty, abandoned house. So that's the issue that you can face with a large FC if it isn't being really well organized, is it just loses cohesion and just kind of breaks apart. And
that's a very good point. A good part of your leadership skills has to be how cohesive you are with doing stuff. What are you good at doing? How are you going to keep people to stay? Like, if I told someone to come join my FC, they'd want a reason, right? Mm-hmm. And my reason being is that, you know, we run content a lot, you know. First of all, we usually run maps. We used to run maps on a weekly basis, as there's very little people on at the moment, and very little people want to do it. We don't run them, but when the expansion comes out, we'll probably start running maps weekly again. Yeah. And it's just a good thing. You just have something that's weekly that people will show up to. And it might only be 4 or 5 people who show up, but they're the 4 or 5 people that you're going to play with quite commonly. And sometimes you have different people who join in. new FC members time to time as well. Just go, oh well, I'm free now, so I'll have a go at that. So you're giving them a go at a content maybe they haven't tried. Events is a good point as well. Events just makes an FC go round. Whether they be small events or big events, sometimes just even like doing small giveaways for your FC just helps them stick around because they know you're doing stuff actively to keep your members happy.
Yeah.
I think a good event, if anyone is running an FC to hold, is hide and seek.
We do that. We do that quite often in our FCs. Sometimes just random. Let's do hide and seek, and we do it in sometimes only the housing area. And sometimes we go to different locations and make it as hard as possible. We make different rules every time, which is nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the next everyone introduce their FCs before we get bogged down in sidetracking too much?
Yep.
Yeah, that was Dean. The Variel, you already talked a bit about yours. Do you want to continue?
Oh, well, I mean, Morgana's the one that's next.
Okay.
No, we were going anti-clockwise.
I
it's Angel next.
I don't see the
Oh.
table because I have iCam rolling for the stream, so I have no idea what the order is.
It's
Sorry.
alright. It's your turn
Alright.
next, Angel. We're going anti-clockwise.
Okay. So, who's going?
You.
Okay, so I'm going. I'm not prepared at all. Yes, so I have a smallish FC on Lich. We're around 15 people. It was formed after the server split, because met a lot of people doing the BA stuff I was doing and a lot of community stuff I was doing at the time that didn't really have a nice FC or an FC at all. Solo players, people that didn't really have friends before the whole thing with BA and Eureka, because that was, as we discussed before and as I've said many times, BA and Eureka was the first content that drove us together as a community at all. Like, outside of raiding before that, we didn't really need to organize or do something or even interact with each other. You just queued up for content and did it, either to PF or DF, but Eureka and BA changed that, and we met a lot of new people, and so I decided to make an FC. We got around 15 members in there, and it's like a non-commitment free FC, everyone who wants to do whatever they can do, and we try to do stuff from time to time, but most people just seem to do their thing a bit, and we're talking and hanging out and having fun and helping each other out as much as we can. It's pretty nice. It's not like we have any events or anything, I'm way too busy with all the other stuff I'm doing, but yeah, anyone who wants a home has a home there. They can pretty much do whatever, and have some nice people to do it with.
Just nice and chill, really.
Yeah. Like, I came from a 3 people FC with my 2 IRL friends back when. That turned into a solo FC, then I got into raiding in Stormblood, and I got a static at the second raid tier, and I transferred over to their FC and their server. So, and that was like, what, 6 people, I think, at max, and a couple of alts. And that was nice and stuff, but it was also a thing with availability, you know. With only 6 people, there's not always some people to do something with, and people are busy doing their stuff and, you know, working and such and such. So I thought a bit bigger would be good for me, but with all the community stuff I'm doing outside FCs now, I don't really have a problem finding people to do stuff with, so my FC is just kind of my own little thing at the side, where it's just chill and nice. Basically, yeah. No drama so far, basically. Some small little stuff, but you know, nothing major. It's all good.
There's
It's
always
really
going to be
nice.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about, like, because you run a small FC, Lux, do you want to, like, talk about the advantages and kind of disadvantages you've so far seen in the small FCs you've been in and, well, the one you're running now?
Like, in the previous FCs I was in, when I was by myself, I had complete freedom to do whatever I want. The FC chest was my personal retainer, basically. And all the company credits, yeah, I could use them as I pleased, and so same with the actions. I can switch on off for 30 minutes if I felt like it. And that was still something we could basically do in a small group of 6 and 7 too. And it's still something you can do with 15 without, like, upsetting a bunch of people, without, like, oh, I wanted this company buff this day or something like that. No, everything is kind of free and loose, and that's the way I like it. Like, freedom under responsibility, and Just don't be a dick, basically, and all works out fine. When everyone is being an adult about the situation, things usually don't have to be, you know, micromanaged as much. Not with, like, that amount of people, I think, at least. Again, with a bigger FC, even if people are nice and chill, there will still be organization and a lot of more stuff to be done, definitely.
What would you say there'd be many disadvantages if you could?
Right now we have a deficit of company credits, believe it or not, because some of our players are really casual and some of the others are really busy with other stuff, i.e. me, and some are mainly focused on leveling up their crafters, and that don't generate that much company credits as the old, just, you know, spamming roulettes and turning in dungeon gear did. But then again, who is doing roulettes nowadays when Eureka is giving you more money than most other content and more tomes on top of that? Like, expert roulette is pretty dead nowadays because
I really wished I like of 25.
You're roboting a bit there, Mr. Dean, for me at least.
Oh, give me a second.
My
Maybe it's a Discord server.
FC has
No.
350,000. Then again, I'm also the only person in my FC that's spending them.
Which is yeah, understandable. Yeah, depends really how active your FC is, what you do with it.
Well, I'll explain the inactivity of my FC, or relative inactivity, when it gets to my turn.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything else you want to say, or do you think?
Look at me, I'm changing the
Yeah,
music.
I think like one of the major disadvantages that I can think of otherwise would probably be company crafting and airships. Like, I've solo crafted a couple of airships in the previous FC I was in. That was a pain, and it cost let not lie, but a metric shit ton of Jill too, and FC seals and other stuff, or Grand Company seals. So yeah, like having more people to help with and chip in with that would be really nice. At least I would not mind that. But yeah, other than that, I think that's mainly all of the topics I can touch on. So we can probably move on from after this if there's nothing else.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the next person, Tomoyo Furukawa.
Hey. So yeah, I run a nice medium-sized FC, 40 to 50 members. Yeah, it's really nice. A little bit of a family style FC. Looking forward to growing still a bit. So if you are interested with your application, and yeah, I think the plus side of having a medium-sized FC is that you always people online. You have a nice close bonds with your people, but it's also yeah, it's different. You feel like a group of friends or a family. That makes it really nice, and you can do events and you can do things with each other. And of course, if you find the right people, that's always wonderful. It's always really good. So, yeah. Working on the FC airships and submarines. We have one of my two vice leaders is really into crafting and gathering, so he loves doing the airship stuff. So I let him do his thing. It's really lovely. So yeah. If you guys have any questions?
So do you also host like events every week for your members and like run content every day, or is it more like, oh, I want some help with this, and then people volunteer?
It's mostly everyone helps each other out. I want to pick up the events you can, but it's really at the moment, of course, because of Shadowbringers coming on, and we have some things in real life that at the moment is a little bit less, but we try to continue that more often in Bringers. We have also raid. There's a little raid static. So yeah, no, we're having fun.
And I'm guessing that's something a lot of people feel overall, just not for in our FCs, but in the overall player base. Like, a lot of people are winding down. The people that are been playing actively are going on a hiatus until Shadowbringers, but the people that have been gone for a long time are coming back and actually doing the content now, which we have seen, or I at least seen, both in Heavensward before and a bit in ARR too. So
that is true. And I think it's the perfect time for it. Just if you, I think it's also a good thing for some people is just to take a little break and just, I don't know, do some other things, and then you can get more into the game when your Shadowbringers gets released. Just come 1 or 2 days before, get everything sorted out and do your stuff. And I expect that too, and we're still growing my FC, so slowly but steady, so that's really nice, and yeah, which is good. And I also having some ideas about at some point over the years alliances with other FCs. I had a few, exactly things didn't always worked out, not on our end, but on the other side end, sadly. But yeah, I think it is a good idea to have a kind of like an alliance between FCs, so you can have nice connections with other people too.
Yep.
Which is really nice.
Actually, I think that's a topic we should up right at the end of all of this about alliances and FCs and how that works. So,
well, I mean, before we can get onto it later, but Morgana has actually set up well, no, she didn't set it up. She's one of the admins on it.
It was my idea.
Oh, sorry, I can't remember because I remember you were the owner of the server and corrected me. Anyway, that's not the important part. The important part is
I'll explain this one then.
There's a server where all of the FC leaders just are able to talk to each other.
Yeah, I think we can let Morgana
so
explain.
Just to clarify.
Go ahead, Morgana.
Oh.
This, I wasn't coming through all just that. I hope not.
Okay.
Stop.
Am I coming through clearly now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. No, that's fine. Okay, so just to clarify, although the Discord server was my idea, the actual sort of group that the Lich server Congress was originally an idea from the leader of the free company Gilgamesh, Yuri Fairtail. The idea being that it gave the leaders of free companies a point of contact with one another so that they could easily reach out. Since then, I just suggested the idea of having a Discord so that we've got a point of contact outside of the game, and also the messages can reach everyone a little bit more easily. In link shells, you've got the disadvantage of the fact that unless you're online at a given point, you're not going to see that message. Whereas with the Discord server, you can look back at it later, the message is still going to be there, assuming that the admins haven't deleted it for whatever reason, but that's not really going to be much of the case. Since then, we have actually been able to run a few events and promote them through our free companies. It's really, really great to have that opportunity to work with company leads to promote stuff as a group and really form a community within Lich. I know that obviously now we've got the opportunity to work with people on different servers, such as we're now doing with Tomoyo. But it's still good to sort of have that homeworld focus and be able to just have a place where we can all sort of touch base. And if there's something that people want to share, so for example, they've been having issues with a particular person that's then gone and left their free company, like they can about that. So if that particular person was a thief, then the rest of us free company leaders are not likely to get screwed over by that, which is a really, really good thing, because in all honesty, we want to try and make Lich a safe and friendly environment for everyone to be able to play in. Now, the list of free companies on the Lich Server Congress is by no means extensive yet. So if you are a free company leader or know of a free company leader that is not already in the Congress, please feel free to tell them to drop me a message in-game. So that's obviously Morgana Browne. Or you can reach me on Discord. I am Morgana #3284. Just drop me a message and let me know, and I'll see what I can sort out.
And we'll provide links to that Discord with the descriptions and everything on the podcast versions of this.
But just bear in mind that this particular server is dedicated to the leaders of free companies. So if you are just a member of that free company, you won't be able to see anything.
No, which is a good
All
thing. I think it is a great idea that you have something like this set up, which is really good. I believe on Zodiac we don't have that yet. Also, if you want to know something, you can find out everything. It's not that hard. So yeah, I think it's a really great idea. It's smart, Morgana. So keep it up.
I think before we get off track, I think we should move on to Variel and his...
Yes, that we definitely should.
So, out of everyone here, I have easily the smallest FC. I will inevitably be discussing this more later on, but we lost a few members recently because of something that went down. We only have about 14 people, down from our original 26. So even before we lost people, there weren't many people here. Obviously, the disadvantages of having that few people are pretty obvious. You just simply lack the manpower to do things. If I wanted to run a raiding static, I likely couldn't, because there just aren't 8 raiders in our FC. Organizing materials for the airship. Yeah, I've aside from getting some people to buy me things from grand companies, I've more or less...
Huh. That's my net.
The advantage to that, though, are that it is a very was a very close-knit FC. For example, at one point we had 14 people in the voice chat in our Discord. That was over half the FC at the time. I personally know a person in right now to varying degrees, and it makes social and keeping things organized extraordinarily easy. It's more or less the inverse of all of the problems that AUX has to face. Of course, the other issue with that is, when things go wrong, you do not have the size to buffer yourself against anything that may go wrong. We basically ended up losing 12 people because of a falling out between me and one other member. Of course, it certainly didn't help when he started poaching people.
Yeah, that is sadly some things that happen, and yeah.
We'll definitely get back to the topic of drama later, though, because that's going to be a very long topic.
I will also say, just before we get on to that topic, I personally hate the term drama because it simultaneously overstates small things and trivializes things that actually are big. There is a difference between someone taking too many crystals out of the FC chest and annoying one of the other crafters, and a literal death threat from one member to the other. I know that's a pretty extreme thing, but that's the point. Yet, both of those would still end up being called drama.
Yeah, but in the other case, I think mostly people say big drama. Variel.
Well, even then, I've seen people call pretty mundane and harmless things big drama, just because a big fuss was being kicked up over it.
Well, some people are also fueled by drama. There's entire subreddits dedicating to just that, so
Yeah.
don't forget that too. Like, some people are drama vampires, basically. Like, oh, something's going on, let's drum it up a bit and see how big we can make it. Haha. Asshole.
Yeah, anyway, that's just my personal opinion, though.
And
Yeah, what is drama? It's a form of entertainment. It's one of the three forms of play. So you're referring to something which can potentially be very serious with the name of a form of entertainment.
That's actually a very interesting oxymoronic in and of itself, but I think we should move on once again. Morgana, you didn't introduce your FC
We're
properly.
finally on
Wait,
to
Variel, were you finished? With your FC?
No, I wasn't
No,
actually
no.
quite finished. I was just gonna say, so the smaller FC has been a very personal thing. For example, I actually bought this FC house with my own personal money. Someone else took a loan. It was to pay me back. It was a bit of a mess. That will also be covered later. But well, I was almost done, really. Like I said, it's much more personal.
Which can be really nice though.
Yeah, when it was going well, it was really nice. Like our first airship, when we made it, I got 4 other people in, and we all just worked together for about 4 hours straight, past midnight, to get the FC finished. Sorry, to get the FC airship finished. And then once it was finished, I got the people there to name it. Like, they built it, they got to name it.
I have a funny story about something like that.
Yeah, no. I'm done now. It's Morgana's turn.
Yeah, but so yeah,
Sorry to cut you off, Tomoy.
It's fine. It's fine. What I have a little slight story about it is what I did in an FC. We did a little for the airship, and we did a little contest for the name, and you could sign in with 2 names. You need to PM me back today to me, and we will pick with the 5 seaters. We will pick a name, and that person there was a first prize and a second prize, and then we give the people the prize, and the airship got that name. That's how we did it back in the day. It was lovely. So, yeah,
Sounds really cute.
I would have liked to do that, but I only have about 3 people that aren't currently that are actually active in AFC and aren't on break.
yeah. But if you have a little bit more people and you have the money and everything for it, you can do such thing.
That's the plan.
All in good time, all in good time. Free companies have their moments when they're big, and they have their moments when they're small. And what matters the most is that you can enjoy the times when things are going great, and that you can weather the times when things are not going so great. That, to me, is what makes a good and strong free company.
I agree on that. Fully agree.
So Morgana, would you like to explain a bit about you and your FC?
Of course. So I originally started off, when I started playing, in a free company called Word of Love. It was the best, quote-unquote, rash decision that I ever made, because by choosing to go into that free company, and it's a medium-sized company that is still quite happily going along, and the people that are and were in it are great. We still do content together, even though we're now separated off. it was a fantastic experience, and I genuinely really loved it. And it's also the reason that I am where I am today. I was actually suffering with depression and anxiety when I first started playing Final Fantasy XIV. And then the leader gave me the opportunity to become one of the officers in the free company. And at first I was a bit nervous, but I really took it in stride, and I was able to learn a lot. And then, to cut a long story short, myself and a group of people from that free company all left in order to build what I now run, which is Silver Valkyrie, or Silver Valkyrie Events. The thing is, the company originally started off as more of a company independent organization, because a lot of my friends that I do a lot of my role playing with, because as I mentioned before, I do really enjoy roleplay. They're all in different free companies, and no one was prepared to leave. To be honest, I didn't want to force anyone to leave their free companies. I mean, these are the people that you log in and you see and you speak to, like, whenever you decide that you're going to play. And no one should make you have to be in a free company, or at least I don't think that anyone should have to make you be in a free company in order to play with certain people. So I created an organization on Discord to start off with. And it's a pretty big, it's nearly 150 people on the server now. But they're from all over the place. Most play Final Fantasy XIV. There are one or two in there now that don't, but have still got good insights on roleplay. And everyone's just generally really good friends. The reason that we started the free company was because my old free company wanted to move to Shirogane. Now, my initial thought was that I did, because by Morgana, we were going to be cutting out a very wide chunk of our audience. Bear in mind, this was 2 years ago, actually getting close to 3 years ago now, when the idea of the world visit system hadn't even entered into anybody's heads. So in order to attend an event on another server, you needed to have made a level 1 ult. Now, the issue with Shirogane, as a lot of people probably already know, is that you can't get there easily as a low-level player. You'd have to have a teleport in order to get over there. And it's not really fair to expect people to allow people access to their house, or expect people to invite them to the free company in order to be able to get them over there. So I wanted to stay put, and basically we ended up coming to an agreement where me and a small group of people that wanted to come with me, we all left at the same time, ripped the band-aid off in one go, so that everyone knew that there was no hard feelings, everyone knew that we wanted to stay in touch and keep playing together. And then the day that Shirogane was released rolled around, and I was in voice comms with my old FC leader Valenth, who managed to get in right on the ball and securityed all the way over to the plot that he wanted and managed to get it. Which meant that when the house finally despawned, I was able to pick up the house that was the plot that was left behind, and we built the FC from there. It's been fantastic, honestly. I did a lot of saving to get the money in order to buy that house. I hadn't done much crafting before, but then I made a point of crafting as much ironworks gathering and crafting gear as I possibly could to raise the 50-odd million I needed. And yeah, I mean, Silver Valkyrie as a free company has definitely had its ups and downs. We're 20-odd people that are active nowadays. I mean, there's constantly like a little bit of fluctuation. But yeah, generally speaking, we're just a group of friends that like to play together. I mean, we use the house that I've bought as a roleplay center. So We've got a downstairs cafe space, which can be changed into sort of more like a ballroom, and it can also be used as a theatre. And we've got a library, and we've got all kinds of things. The house, even the FC rooms, sort of feel like they're part of the house, which is really, really nice. But yeah, the key thing is that we don't limit what we do to the people that are inside the free company. Like, we've got a link shell and we've got the Discord server, and we actively encourage people from outside to sort of get involved. I mean, for example, recently with World Visit, we've been able to include people from off-world, such as Tomoyo. Tomoyo has recently been able to get involved in some of the roleplay that we've been doing, which is really, really good fun.
That's a lot of fun. Yeah, it surely is.
Yeah. But not just that, we've also got, as mentioned before, we've got sort of like alliances going with some other free companies, including another roleplay group, which they're all members of the Silver Valkyrie community, but they've got their own free company, and that's, from my perspective, it's wonderful. I don't want to force people to have to be together under one banner in order to be able to play together, if that makes sense. Having the small company does make it a little bit difficult sometimes to try and get things done, because the only people that I can really sort of like expect anything of are those that are either in the free company or have sort of said, yes, I will do such and such for you, which can sometimes make it a little bit difficult. It's also sometimes a little bit more difficult for new players, because most of us are at level 70, and while a lot of us are more than willing to go back and do all of the old content with people, and in actual fact, I look forward to doing certain pieces of content again with somebody for the first time. But it does get difficult when we've all got our own focuses and we're all trying to play the game and reach our own goals, and people are asking for help, and we're like, really sorry, I'm currently doing something else right now. I can't help you. Yeah, I feel as if that a lot of people need to be willing to sort of try and reach out of their comfort zone, especially with the fact that we've got the community as well. We've got a wider group of people that we can reach out to, which is really, really nice. And it does help alleviate some of the problem, but it doesn't necessarily alleviate all of it, if that makes sense.
And
Yeah.
it surely does make sense, and I recognize a bit of the problem too. It's like, I've also a lot of people that are joining, and some people have a lot of expectations, and you also you have basically mostly 3 or 4 kinds of people. You have people that are social and active and try to connect with the rest of the group, and which is always really fun when that happens. But you also have people that are really shy, don't ask things, don't communicate, and I mean, it needs to come from 2 sides to have a nice connection and to build something up. If you don't be open for things, it becomes hard too. And that, I just think, be open for a free company, make yourself a little bit open with communication, and you can have a great time with a lot of very good people. Final Fantasy XIV had, I think, one of the best communities in the whole industry. So
Yeah. Like, in terms of online games, I can definitely agree with that. It definitely needs to be more of a two-way thing. If you don't to us, we can't hope to. It's like the big thing we're trying to say here. So, for the most part, free company leaders don't date, do we?
See, that's something I gotta say, because it's caused me so many problems in the past. If you do not talk to people, things will not get better. Do not act without talking to someone.
I think we'll talk about something later as well when we get to the FC leaders, which is just going to be going around the table again. But I think we'll be talking something about what's called the Leaders Complex, or at least what I call the Leaders Complex, because I've no idea what the actual... I call it Leaders Complex. But we'll get around to that eventually, and I think that has to apply to literally every FC leader, be it... Maybe not with the small FCs, because the community is a lot tighter, but definitely with the medium and large-sized FCs, you know, it becomes a bit of a problem with it. So we'll get back to that later. But I think, in general, we've discussed kind of the advantages and disadvantages of small, medium, and large FCs. I would personally like to say the majority of FCs are medium-sized. From my experience wandering around, seeing people, the most average-sized FC I see is medium, which kind of makes sense when you take it. They're in between small and large.
What would you define as a medium FC, though? Most of the
anything less than 100 members.
Yeah.
Most of the...
Above 50 and less than 100.
Because most of the FCs that I see running around tend to be anywhere up to about 40 leaders. I actually see a surprisingly large amount of FCs with less than 10 members, which always kind of confused me.
Depends on the server too.
I think I'd just sum up everything as well for everyone. So I'll start off with a large FC. The advantage is just there's so many people, content is very accessible, and there's always someone nerdy there to help you. And that's always definitely an advantage. Disadvantage, it's a nightmare to manage, and getting people to help, or getting leaders and stuff like that can be quite hard.
Can I chip in another disadvantage there?
Yeah, go for it.
For new members, it can be somewhat daunting and overwhelming with large numbers because you are small fish in huge pond, and trying to reach out and make meaningful connections can feel incredibly daunting. So it's really important for the members to reach out to those small fish and make them feel included.
I do think that's where, like, you get into the, you know, the type of people that want to join a large FC. You know, those who want to join sometimes actually join because they don't want to make close connections with people. They simply don't have the time or the interest. And they just want to run content with someone when they're on, which could be any time of the day. So it's
fine.
FC size is a trade-off between having a large community capable of running pretty much anything with the manpower to do things versus a close-knit and much more manageable community.
Yeah, so I think also, just to get on to small FCs, I think their advantages is that they're usually very close. Doing stuff like that, there's definitely a lot more freedom, I would have to say, in a small FC, regardless of the situation. Now, I think with raiding FCs, I think that could be slightly different, but I think that's a little bit of a niche one to go into.
A raiding FC is just the static with extra layers.
Yep. Disadvantages, less people there to run content with all the time, so there's not always people there. Doing projects can be a pain. Earning free company seals is also not very easy.
And you have the risk of when the game is at a certain points through the years, in the expansion, certain points are a little bit less active. Those points you have the chance that an FC dies out.
Yeah.
If you have a small FC.
And also drama as well. Usually if it occurs in a small FC, unless everyone else is in agreement that it's wrong, it usually pulls apart the FC completely.
Yep. Awesome.
That's a huge disadvantage, and I mean particularly to small ones there. At least with medium-sized FCs, you have the chances of recovering.
Yep.
Which
Medium and large FCs aren't immune to that, though.
No, they're not.
I've heard stories of FCs numbering in the hundreds being broken by
I
a
have
particularly persistent and particularly unpleasant individual or set of individuals.
Yeah, well, all it takes is the correctly motivated person at the correct time and place to destroy whatever, really.
well this is where you know, I can definitely say I always tell people, right, when I see a new large FC that's popped up within 2 months, and I mean large FC in this case maybe 250 members, right? I've seen a large FC that started within the last 2 months fall apart. Why? And I'm sorry to say, it's poor leadership most of the time.
And also growing too fast. If you grow in 2 months to 100+ members, mostly it doesn't work out because you grow too fast. You can't organize something that quickly without you having the right leader skills. That's one. And second of all, it's really hard to get nice connections. Every FC has always a core. Always. It's part of a community. And that's the downside of growing so fast, that you get these complications. I've seen a lot of FCs come and go really quickly just because they grew too fast. I've seen FC grow in 1 or 2 weeks from 3 member, now from the basic 4 members to 153 members, and they a week later they dropped down to 50. So, you know.
Yeah, and that is just a problem in general with, I think, you know, fresh leaders. I think if you're going to freshly start an FC, now don't get me wrong, I started my FC and then went from, I think in the first month I had 100 members in my FC, you know, but I've actually had leadership skills. I haven't just led in this game, you know, I lead communities in general, so I had a good idea what I needed to do. Now, being in guilds and other games also gave me ideas of what I need to do in general. I think that just put that stuff kind of forward as well, you know?
It is also a big thing is you don't do it alone. People always think an FC leader does everything alone. No, you have your vice leaders or your officers, depends on how you said it. They help you out. They are here to back you up. You do this together. You do this as a community. You don't do it fully alone. Understand that? It's really important that you learn that. Because if you think you do everything, you stress yourself out too much. Can happen. Or you don't get the right connection, or you get too dominant. I have seen FC leaders go really make a big ego, or be rude, or become a dictator, for example.
Yeah, I think that's important, right? Where, let's say I run a large FC, but I tell people, and I constantly tell people, I'm not a dictator. I'm a community person. Yes, I'm in charge, and yes, my decision is final. Don't get me wrong. But when people ask me or tell me to do something that they want changed, I take it into consideration and I put it towards a community vote. Yeah, I don't just go, yeah, I like this. I put it out to the community. Hey guys, what do you think? Do you want this? Do you want it? If everyone says no, then that's the majority's vote. They go no.
Well, there is yeah, go to
Yeah, you should always listen to your community and to your members and listen to their ideas. They let you be open about ideas. And also think sometimes self and go look around at other FCs. Go exploring. You can learn so much by communicating with other FCs or people or communities. Really. It's not about always a small world. Make the world big. Learn from it. You don't have to be the biggest FC ever, but you can learn from other people and listen to your community and to your FC. If you listen to that, you can learn, you can improve, you can adjust, and that is what you need to do. Really.
I mean, on the subject of FC leaders getting a big head, essentially, the straw that broke the camel's back for me, and the reason why I left my previous FC, was because the FC leader, not like a leader, the leader, called me a fuckwit in the general FC channel because I said that you shouldn't really use tank stance in high-end raiding.
Wow.
Like, I literally said, in regular content you absolutely should use your tank stance, but the requirements of Savage Raiding are different.
Yeah.
And he then proceeded to call me a fuckwit, accused me of being a troll, accused me of undermining him when I argued against him, and saying I had no respect for him, despite the fact that he
Yeah, but that's
just
the
called me a
different.
fuckwit for saying something. Just despite the fact that he just called me a fuckwit for saying something which is very widely held to be true by the community and proven by years of content.
Yeah, but some people are very insular in their way of thinking, and the point I wanted to make earlier was like, you're not really a dictator as much as you should consider yourself a unofficially elected representative of the community, so more like a president or a prime minister. You will still take input from everything and you will still okay the major things, but on a day-to-day basis, yeah, you will probably make decisions that will influence a lot of people, but that's on your discretion and the discretion of your higher echelon personnel. And I think Morgana wanted to add something there too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, as a free company leader, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of delegation. Honestly, you need to make use of the power that you have to see things done and ask people to contribute to the group and help support you and the other officers, because these sort of groups, they're not run by one person. They can't be run by one person unless it's like a full-time job, which in this particular case it can't be. It's a game. At the end of the day, we should be coming to this space in order to relax and have fun. Yes, some people do enjoy the organization side of things, and that's great, you know, but you should never be afraid of asking for help or delegating to somebody that you trust to get something done.
And I think I want to add something on top of this as well. Just, you know, if you're in an FC, especially a large one, remember that the leader is always busy. They want to, first of all, run their own content. So if they're running their own content, they're busy. Send them a PM. They generally will reply in the same time. If you're on the Discord, send them a PM Discord, because they'll definitely reply to that.
I fully agree on that. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
But to emphasize what I'm going here is that, yes, sometimes there's delegation problems, and actually I had that in my own FC, but I didn't know about it. Someone got overwhelmed at work and then left without telling me, which was kind of a bit unfair, but they got overwhelmed because there wasn't delegation going on. And I think I can't emphasize enough that you have to tell an FC leader what is going on, you know, in the general community if they don't see it. Because in a large FC, and I mean, I don't know about a smaller or medium, but in a large FC, it's too hard to see something like that going on when you're already paying attention to chat and you're already trying to do your own content, you're already trying to help someone else, and then you also have real life things to take care of at the same time.
That's why you're not alone. You have especially in a large FC, you need to count on your officers need to see it to each other, together. And also what you should do is talk with your officers. It doesn't have to be especially on daily basis, but talk with your officers, have communication with them. Together you always see more than one person can see. That's the good thing about it. If you don't have communication, I mean, if you don't, for example, communicate with you, Kaida, things won't happen. You need to communicate, and you need to have that set up. And even if it takes like 5 or 10 minutes just to have a call, voice chat, or normal chat, you know things are happening.
I think one thing people have to remember as well is that your FC leader will also want to take a break from the game time to time. I took a 2-week break, and this is what happened, you know?
And on the subject of delegating, when I was running the first BA Discord community we had before the server split, it kind of exploded after a week and a half, and then all of a sudden it kind of fell onto me to manage a 500-600 people Discord. And even though I'm full-time unemployed and could do it for 100% of my time, it didn't really work out in the end, because even with all that free time and barely sleeping and working 18 hours a day, the workload was just way too heavy. At some point you just reach critical mass, you know? You have to delegate it to something, and that's when we formed a mod team, which helped out a shit ton of time like that. So basically like officers in an FC, yeah.
That's true.
Right, so I think we can move on to the next topic, because we don't want to spend too long on one topic. So, alright, so we have FC leading. So, I think this one's going to be fairly lengthy, because FC leading is definitely very personal to every FC leader. And it's different to just about everyone, you know. I don't think there's any FC that's ever alike, or FC leader. It's just impossible, because every person's different.
And every leader has also his own qualities and skills and goods, and also weaknesses. Not every leader is not perfect. It's impossible for leaders.
So, I have a few things written down here. So, I think we'll just go over each of this topic as we go around the table again.
Yep.
So, it's what comes with FC leading, responsibilities and duties. What kind of leaders are there? And I know there are different types of leaders, and that's group leading, which is slightly different. So that's more of a community basis, like what I try to do, and solo leaders. So that would be more of a dictator, which I could kind of go into a bit of, but I'm not too great at dictatorship, so I wouldn't be able to talk very much about it. I would say, in general, the majority of leaders are kind of group leaders. They're very community-based, and that they do have, like, 4 or 5 people that they really, really trust to help run the FC. And I mean, like, they're the top players or whatever, you know, that are there. So, FC leading, responsibilities and duties for me would be, I have a lot of responsibility, you know? I take on such a large project, such a large FC. At one point, we ranked #1 monthly in the EU.
Wow.
For the FCs, yeah.
Yeah.
So taking on the responsibility and leading of probably the biggest FC in the EU at the time, back then, was quite hard, you know? Of course, I wasn't doing it alone, obviously, at the time. Feels like it now, you know, I only have 2 people helping me. But back then, it was a bit easier, you know, responsibilities were spread out. My job was to take care of stuff when shit hit the fan, basically. Which happened quite commonly. Mainly under massive misunderstandings, which people, for some reason, don't seem to just think things through. We'll get into drama as well later. But as the leader, I feel like I'm very responsible for each and every person who's here, you know, in the FC. As much as I might not know some of them, or half the time, actually, I can look at the list and I'm like, I don't know who just joined or left the FC. Because there's so many people who come and go so quickly. So for me, I feel personally responsible for each person who's in the FC and to a stage, you know, that I feel like I have a lot to look after. And it's quite a big thing. As for my duties, well, as I said, I'm kind of more of the guy that's there when shit hits the fan. Because I feel like, you know, I do a lot as well with micromanagement as well. Where I try to do things that other people aren't able to do, so I fill in the spots that people can't do. So if someone, for some reason, they can't put up the company actions and no one's online, I would just log online to the game and put up the company actions. That's kind of where I'd fill in, even though there's always someone online who can do it anyways. But I toss it up if they're not there. As well as, what should we call it? Feeding chocobos, doing airships, stuff like that. And then just helping out people if no one else is going to help them out. So like if someone new is new to the game and they want to run Sestasha, I suppose I have no choice but to go to Sestasha.
Oh,
but like,
go back there from time to time.
Oh no, don't remind me. Leveling roulette Sestasha, just a pain.
It's always some words, the Armfowl.
Yeah. Oh no.
Grimlet Dark. No, wait. Damsel Dark. The one before Aramvale. I think that's the
Oh yeah, Samael.
Ismail.
Oh.
Desma.
Dismal Darkhold.
Yes,
Yeah.
I always used to call it Dismal Darkhold as well.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure it is actually pronounced the Dismal.
Nah, it's Samael. I wrote it's one of
Desmile.
the, it's one of the 4 high houses of Ishgard. And
I know.
Yeah.
Right. So back to what.
Anyway,
kind of.
their crappy attitude makes me call them Dismal because they're like
They are dismal.
out of the 4 high houses of Ishgard, they're the worst. It's impressive how you can be part of a violent, oppressive aristocracy that has perpetuated mass religious intolerance for literally a millennium, and still somehow be the most unpleasant.
Right. So I think I'll just get back on track. What I was talking about there.
Go for it.
And that was what kind of leader do we have in the FC? And that's mainly just a group lead. I don't like solo leading stuff. First of all, it's far too stressful to even think about it. So I wouldn't want to do it. I do group lead with basically 3 others. One's on break until Shadowbringers, and the other one hasn't really played, doesn't play that much due to workload. He actually has a very high amount of work to do. So basically at the moment, I basically solo lead about 300 plus players at the moment because I just kicked a bunch for being inactive. Which is also a thing. I think you have to, if anyone's running a large FC or wants to run one, have a time restraint on how long people are going to be kicked if they haven't told you they're leaving for a long period of time. Generally, as a rule, what I have is 60 days, and if you don't tell me that you're leaving for more than 60 days, then you get kicked if you're offline for more than 60 days. And if you just tell me you're going offline, I just put you in a rank called on leave, and you don't get kicked. Simple as.
Which is a good thing. I have the same system in my FC. Also, we do 45 days because that's the amount of days for your house. So basically you get a notification mail and it's everything as well. So 45 days, we don't know anything. And we just kick you. Sadly, we don't like it, of course. But if it happens, you're always free to come in then, of course. But yeah, I agree. It's a really good system. Smart.
Mm-hmm.
So...
All right.
Okay.
I think I've.
I was going to say, on the subject of inactivity systems, I personally don't have one. I have a rank that I put everyone to, if they've been away for too long, so that I can visually see how many people have left. But at the same time, I know I personally would feel so disheartened if I'd gone away from the game for an extended period of time, and for whatever reason hadn't been able to let somebody know, and then I come back and I find I'm kicked, and I'm like, oh, well, this makes me feel really unwanted. So, which is why I personally don't have them, but I can totally see the use for them in a larger FC, for example, for AUX. If you're constantly recruiting new members, if people are going inactive, you're going to hit the member cap, which is 512.
I've hit it many times.
Yeah,
I've hit it very, very many times, and it's just...
Yeah.
Rather, do you remember? Does anyone remember when there was the FC list bug?
Yeah,
No.
I remember that time.
No, do tell me.
Right, so there was an FC list bug. Back when the World Visit system came around, it was actually really bloody annoying. Basically, if you had more than 2 pages of members, which we did, right? And you went to the second page, it would only repeat which was on the first page. So basically, you couldn't see anyone that was offline for more than like 4 hours. So there was people, when we reached the player cap, we wanted to kick, but we could not.
Yeah, I heard a lot about it in videos about it. Yeah, it was really funny to see. That's lovely. That's sometimes what happens in the game with all kinds of things, and it's sometimes really interesting. I had once a FC action that lasted for 48 hours instead of 24. It's really funny too.
Yeah.
Things like that happen sometimes. Really nice.
So, I think I've rambled on enough. I think we'll move on to Lux next. For what you feel like how spread out your duties and responsibilities are.
Like, for FC leading, I legit don't do that very much. I delegate tasks, and then I show up and do what I can when I have the free time to do so. FC is sadly on the low end of my priority spectrum right now, but I do try to at least help out where I can. I had one dude recently that joined. He was a bit low on money, still leveling through the content. So after a BA run, I got myself a samurai sword which sold for like 1.3 mil, so I just gave it to him. So I like, here, good luck. Try to make some money off this so you have some pocket change.
That's quite sweet of you.
Yeah, stuff like that. I do like what I can. Like the 3 last members that joined my FC, they were just casual conversation that got struck up in Kugane over one of my weapon glams I had. And they didn't have an FC tag, so I asked about it. And apparently they had been a bit mistreated by their last FC leader, and I just opened up my place for them to stay for as long as they wanted to. And they've been sticking around now for a week, seem to have a nice time, so it's nice. And that was also one of the things where I could bring Morgana in on the Congress side of things and sort that stuff out a bit on server side level. So that was
unfortunately, there was not much we could do in that particular situation, but yeah, like...
No, but still, having that community-driven body to be able to step in, like, they appreciated that a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Like, to have people there that like, oh, this is not okay, and we're gonna try to at least address it in some way or form. I really appreciate the work you guys are doing over on Lich, and I didn't mention it earlier, but at server split, I transferred to Lich, so I'm pretty new on Lich, but compared to Odin and Shiva, it's been a really nice and welcoming place overall. It is overall a really nice community as far. I have not met a single dick yet at all.
There's a few. There's a few. I won't deny it. There's a few.
Definitely a few.
There's a few in every crowd. You cannot deny that. Like, that's just how it's
Yeah.
gonna be. But yeah, like, it's not bad. It's not a bad place. Not at all. But yeah, on my FC leading subject, I don't know if I can add much. Like, I delegate, I try to hang out, I try to talk. Like, we're a small FC, so there's not that much pressure to do things really. And I do have both my community Discord and my raiding Discord, where most of the content I do is taking place. So I try to invite as many of them over there as often as I can.
I have the opposite problem actually, where when we founded RFC, we made it so that there were going to be 5 leaders, and they were all more or less equal. However, because of various reasons, all of them aside from me have left. So, what started off as deliberately sharing the load has now ended up with, I have to do everything. I can't, well, there's not much to do at the moment anyway, but, I deliberately set it up so I wouldn't have all the power. I actually argued against getting leadership myself at one point. Partly because I also didn't want to deal with that again. But now I am the only one with power. Yeah.
So
just gotta dig up that picture of like Homer Simpson, but he's 500 feet tall and covered in gold and gems.
And by the way, Lux, to your comment, Ken on my stream, who's also my FC, just regarded saying, just hunt them, mate. You'll find a bunch of dicks. He's got a point though. You can find them, and I gotta say that no matter what server you're on, there's always going to be a load of them. And the main point is you avoid them. And you find the people you want to play with. Because, believe it or not, I play with more people outside of my FC than within my FC. And that's not just because I dislike people in my FC. I actually like a lot of people in my FC. It's just I like people outside of my FC too.
It's mostly a problem if that's the downside. The community is so big, and you have your FC, but you also have so many people outside that you need to balance those things out. If that makes sense.
Yep. So as an FC leader, don't be afraid to play with other FCs.
Don't.
As an FC member, don't be afraid to play with people from other FCs. Like,
Also.
you are not forced to play with just the people that have got the same tag as you. Like, if people want to play with you, you are totally.
I mean, hey,
like,
I'm playing with Morgana on and off since I was a wee sproutling making my Black Mage Relic weapon.
oh yeah.
I actually met her when I joined in on a hunt, and then I did my Alexandrite map and forgot to leave the hunt group I was in.
I have to say, I did wonder what was going on at that point.
And, like,
oh, okay, map.
It's just a key point. You should always keep in contact with people in game, whether they're in your FC or not. Like, especially one of my longest term friends, in game is Kagami Senpai, and I've known her since, like, I arrived in Ilshire when I started the game, and you know, since then, like, we keep in contact. We do content together. Sometimes run dungeons, and just have a bit of a talk time to time as well. You know. And yeah, which is good. You just keep in contact. Don't be afraid. Like, she's a member of another FC. She's not a leader. She's just a member of there, and she's not afraid to keep in contact with people. You know, and I can guarantee you, 90% of her list is also not her FC, because she has way too many friends.
I mean, on my friends list, of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 friends that I have online at the moment, 2 of them are in my FC.
Let's see. I can tell you. Wait, I don't even. I don't even want to start counting.
No.
But let's see. I'll tell you how many people are in my list. 1.
Wow.
Everyone else is not in my FC. That's it. Just 1.
Which is
That's-
nice though.
Which is kind of weird. I'll probably go through and do a great purge of that. To be fair, some of these people I've... Yeah. Which happened. Yeah. So, we've talked about your Lux and about your duties and responsibilities of.
But this is your FSC leader, of course. We set up a plan of how we manage things. So I delegated between my two vice. So it's one, like I said before, loved really to do the airships and the crafting. So he just really loves it. And Tankum, that's yeah. You need to really like the airships and the crafting to do it, because it's quite a lot of work, and I think I can agree out of experience that it is the case. And then me as FC leader, of course, doing the actions all the time, buying the stuff, looking after to manage my FC Discord as well, keep in touch with people, do stuff with people, help people out, try to plan events, think about things, changing the FC house with my other vice leader sometimes. It's really good too. And of course we do recruiting, which is also an important task for us, because again it's also a good thing. It's the privilege of having a medium-sized FC that we need to recruit ourselves. It also gives a little bit of a filter, and it also gives you nice people you can recruit. Of course, everyone in our FC can recruit, so it's no problem. but also we look out and we try to sponsor ourselves a little bit around, so which is good. And yeah, listen to your community. That's really also important. We had an FC gathering last weekend in real life, so that was a lot of fun too. So, yeah, it's also something. If you're ever interested, it's of course a choice of the community and the FC leader if you want to do it. But yeah, I think it's a good idea too.
Yeah. So I know we're running really short on time, so I think we'll just pop right over to Variel and.
What do I do?
Yeah.
Literally everything. Absolutely nothing here is not handled by me. I do the airships, I do the house, I do the gardening, I feed the chocobos, I clean the stables, I handle the airships and the submarines, I sell the stuff from the airships and the submarines to get money for the FC, I earn most of the company credits. I got this house in the first place. I decorate the outside of the house as well. I now recruit new members and get rid of inactive members. I help low-level members progress. Literally, I do everything. Help, please.
I also do like you said, chocobo gardening. You guys always have other stuff to do, but there's
one thing I don't do. I don't put the company actions on. Always forget those. Have one of my sergeants in the FC do that.
Be glad. I try to do them always, but at least I buy them always. Sometimes I just can make it. For example, I'm in a BA run with the Citadel of Light or something else. Yeah, but you know, you always do it together, and this is a good thing. And you will get there, Variel. When you get a little bit bigger again, you will delegate some tasks too. At least I hope you will. So.
Right. So just because we're running short on time, I think we'll cut straight to Morgana.
Well, I don't just obviously run the FC, I run the community as well. So I've got quite a lot of modding stuff to do with making sure that I kind of keep everyone in track on there. I also run events, admittedly not as much as I'd like to, but yeah, so I'm constantly trying to build teams in order to make events happen. But I do have a couple of officers that I can delegate stuff to, which is really, really nice. And generally speaking, because I've got quite a small active group of people, I can get people to do stuff relatively easy, but sometimes reaching out to them and getting them to hear me can sometimes be a bit difficult. Like on Discord, sometimes people don't necessarily see the messages, which can be a little bit frustrating, and catching them in the moment tends to work a little bit better. Not sure whether you guys have had any issues with like trying to pre-plan stuff with groups like that.
Sometimes it can happen, yeah, but sometimes it goes really smoothly and sometimes it just gets like that. It just happens, but that's this. Everybody's busy in real life too and other things, so it makes sense. And with the events you talked about, like you know that I signed up for helping with those events, and we do the role play together now. So I help you with that too, because I just love it. And yeah, I think I'm really open for those things. And basically, Morgana and I are in an alliance, which is really good. So, yeah, and of course I'm busy too with the Citadel of Light as one of the mod team members. So yeah, I am busy too with a lot of things, and of course real life and communities. And, yeah, it's busy. It's a busy life, but it's fun. That's the good thing about it. It's fun.
Yeah. Right. So I think next thing we'll move on to, I won't go necessarily around the table for this. I think we'll just kind of give a bit of information each about how we feel about this topic. But I do feel like this is managed differently from person to person. We have drama and the resolution of drama, like how to resolve certain situations. So how to deal with drama, what resolutions you can come up with, making fast and the fastest and best decision you can do.
Give a situation.
So, like, I know everything is situational in this case, right? Where you're saying, well, there's a lot of situations that can pop up and lots of different things can happen.
Yeah.
Which is very true. So, so like, how to deal with drama, I think, is just, like, what's going to be your first course of action? And I think the first course of action you should do is question everything.
Yeah, get both sides of the story.
Yeah, get both sides or every side of the story if there's several people involved. Ask people that may have been online if they witnessed anything. You know, what's going on. So that's going to be your first step to dealing with it. The second step after that is once you've got the information, don't make the decision by yourself. Well, unless you're just going to be a solo leader, which in that case, you're already nearly done. But as a group leading, you should always get everyone that's currently not on leave or is free, discuss it, and try and make up your decision on what you want to do. If it's a very minor decision, you don't need necessarily everyone on. Like if someone was just being a bit foul-mouthed or whatever, it might just be easier to solve. But if it's something more serious where they're stealing stuff from the FC, don't necessarily kick the person right away. You should definitely toss them into the lowest rank in your FC, which should have no access anyways, and then get a leader to deal with it, or get the group to deal with it. It's probably going to result in a kick if they stole from stuff from the FC, but not always true. I had someone take stuff from my FC chest, thought it was okay to take it, then apologized for taking it because he wasn't allowed to take that on.
Yeah,
and that was all okay. He got his rank. It was a misunderstanding.
That happens. If you don't have a nice communication with the person in that situation, then it's fine. But if, for example, there is a fight going on between two, it can be in chat, in voice chat, whatever. Try if you're another officer is available, get them to talk to the other person and try to get it away from the rest of the group. Try to get it away from the best thing you can do.
Yeah, the general idea is although you don't want to be alone in solving these situations, you want as few people involved in these situations as possible.
Yeah.
Because the further it reaches, the more it sort of spreads, if that makes sense. I know that sounds like I'm saying the same thing twice, but like, if
the
you've
more
got
people
more
you
people
tell,
that
the
know
more people
about
will
it,
learn.
the more people that know about it, the more people that they're likely to potentially tell, and therefore it just sort of gets round as gossip, and that's the last thing you want. You want as many of these situations to be solved as quickly and as fairly as possible. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong, though, in asking for help if you're not sure how best to solve it. It is better that you ask for help and are told, I don't know how, and you get I don't know how to help you in this situation. I'm really sorry. You're going to have to make a call, than sitting there agonizing over what you should and shouldn't do and not make a call, and it get worse because you've not made a call.
Make a call quickly, make smart decisions,
So
prevent things first, and then while you're getting information in, resolve the issue. And if you ask a vice leader to help you, nothing wrong with that.
Could I please talk as well?
You can go now, Variel. Go ahead.
I actually recently lost 12 people in my FC, including some people that I thought were pretty good friends of mine. Angel knows this because I was getting pretty angry in the lounge on Citadel, like over the whole thing.
Oh, we all need to vent from time to time, my dude.
Yeah, but basically what happened was, out of the 5 leaders in my FC, one of them had a disagreement with me. He found me overbearing and difficult to talk to and couldn't work with me. And instead of talking to me, and actually telling me anything. He refused to talk to me at all, and went and talked to the other leaders, and he did things behind my back. For example, he got a loan for 18 million gil from someone, and not only did he tell to pay back the FC's debt to me for buying the house, not only did he not tell me he did it, all the other leaders, when the other leaders found out, they continued to not tell me, and when I found out, this leader just who got the loan in the first place flat out refused to tell me who it was from. Of course, I'm not stupid, and it took me about 3 seconds to figure out who it was, because it's not exactly easy to get 18 million gil on short notice. And this continues, and eventually he tells the other leaders that he can't handle working with me, and either they have to kick me or he will leave. He actually tried to force me out of the group. And again, the other leaders didn't talk to me, and they apparently decided to kick me. Of course, I'm still here, so they clearly didn't kick me. What happened was eventually one of them gave me the common courtesy of actually talking to me, and I managed to successfully defend myself to the rest of the group and essentially say, this isn't my fault, I've been trying to stop it, but this leader has prevented me from doing anything to make anything better. Eventually he leaves by himself. Apparently he accepts that he did something wrong, but I'm a little suspect because he continued to do things wrong. He leaves, disappears for like week and a half essentially, and now he's set up a new FC, and he's poaching the active members from my FC, telling them something. I don't know for certain, but I'm pretty sure he's telling them that I threatened him and made him feel unsafe. And again, no one has come to talk to me, and nothing, and these people have just left. One of them is apparently extremely angry with me over something I didn't actually do, and talks shit about me in his FC general chat now. Literally, and to anyone who may have actually been paying attention, you could tell, literally all of this has gone wrong because no one would actually talk to anyone else. And now I'm sitting here with having to do almost all of the work by myself, with half my FC poached.
Not cool.
It is really sad.
Yeah.
Those situations sadly happened. Yeah. But hey, you still got your FC, your house. You can build up.
Actually, yeah. The thing that really made me is not what happened to the people who left. It's what happened to the people who stayed. 3 of the leaders left. One of them was better friends with the guy who caused this shit than me, so he went off to join him, which, fine, that doesn't bother me. One of them left because he thought the FC was dying, and instead of actually asking anyone anything, he just left as well. That annoys me, but to be honest, it might be better that he's gone. But the last leader, aside from me, he's just gone completely FC-less, because the entire situation stressed him out so badly, he got sick, and he's had to just avoid people. And another thing that happened is, I didn't see this happen, but the person who told me is a terrible liar, so I'm inclined to believe it happened. The leader who left, and his friend, apparently tried to break up the relationship of 2 of the people that stayed by exploiting the mental health problems and emotional issues of one of the people that remain. This is now what I'm suddenly having to deal with.
And this popped out of basically nowhere.
Basically out of nowhere.
Yeah.
The guy who's been doing all of this has been my friend since we were both 5.
And where does this, how does this happen? It always boils down to a lack of communication almost. Because people don't talk openly about what they actually feel, and then things boil over one day.
So from a pretty mundane issue, because I'm perfectly aware that I can be a fairly overbearing person. Every other issue that got discussed in RFC got solved pretty quickly. But not this one, because instead of deciding to communicate, he decides to destroy the social circle.
Right, so I'm aware that people have some time restraints and food might be soon for a lot of people. I do think it's, like, interesting, you know, like, what sort of drama has popped up in FCs, and I do think maybe even drama alone could be a whole podcast in a discussion.
I'd rather not do that,
No.
mainly because I don't think it's good for my mental well-being.
Like,
It's good for nobody.
I could sit here and talk about the drama that's been going on around all this BA stuff the last 2 months for at least 4 hours by myself and just rant. So
I was there.
I don't think it's healthy, and I don't think people want to hear it, because we don't want to be causing drama with the things.
The entire point of this podcast was how to handle drama, not just to talk about drama.
So let me sum up.
In a nutshell, the most important thing you need to do is you need to actually communicate with both sides. Even if one side is a guy with a long history of being an asshole to everyone, and the other side is your best friend and someone that never causes any problems, and the whole thing seems ridiculously one-sided, you still have to communicate with both sides.
Yes.
agreed.
Yeah, so communicate with both sides, try and make the fastest and best decision you can make at that time. Try and avoid just making up stuff as well, which is basically just finger pointing. I know I'm a person who does that myself, but I try not to make that public. I try put the blame on someone immediately just to make myself feel better, but I probably shouldn't do that. But as long as you don't tell other people the finger pointing, you should be generally okay. But in general, just try and make the decision as quick and as fast as possible. And definitely, as we've all pointed out, get both sides of the story. I think the next thing we just want to quickly move on to...
I have one last 1 minute thing, which I should have mentioned, which I also consider extraordinarily important for dealing with this. Is, it's been mentioned that you should try to not just tell everyone what's happening, but at the same time, you shouldn't be too closed off. If people start discussing things, you should share details and inform people. Because simply educating people of what's going on is not adding to further drama. No. It is the mature and responsible thing to do to give people the facts and allow them to make their own decision. I have seen too many scenarios blow up into far more toxic issues simply because one or two of the leaders involved refused to share any details because, talking about it is just more drama. And so people basically had to make decisions with no information.
I will flip side this, however.
Yeah.
You do need to be careful with how much information you do share, because there is always going to be the issue of privacy. The people involved in that drama have just as much right to privacy as they did before the situation started. You need to be very careful with how much you do share.
I agree with that completely, Morgana.
I'm just warning against shutting yourself off completely.
No, what I was gonna say, that I agree with you completely, Morgana. It is a personal thing on many levels, the drama that can happen. But when it spills over and it affects your FC and or community, some communication needs to be had, because otherwise a lot of people will start talking and rumors start spreading, and then there's misinformation, and that's very hard to get rid of.
That is
true. So...
fine line of balancing the two, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Kira?
So, like, in general, like, let's say if I was to sum up a recent incident that happened for me, and the public statement that I give anyone they ask is that one person had mental issues and felt like he couldn't continue, two felt like there was a miscommunication problem, they might join back, and one was just a dick, so I don't even see. And that sums up the whole issue, you know, when people ask me what happened, and I'm like, that's the long and short of it, you know?
Yeah.
I could, of course, tell you some of what actually happened, but I said due to my dyslexia, fucking story in the FC chat.
And it's also not good for you and not for the rest of the FC either. Don't do it.
Very true. And I think a lot of that as well. So they know the very long and short of it. It's what I'll give everyone to what's happened to the recent members who...
Indeed.
And the other people who've recently left actually decided to give their reasons in Discord chat, which, by the way, guys, if you ever decide to leave an FC, please do the decency of leaving someone a message. Anyone. Just anyone. Because especially for a large FC, it just makes it so difficult to know why someone left, especially if you've been there a long time, you know? Just give a reason, any reason. It doesn't matter what your reason is, you know? You could just say, I don't feel like this is where I want to be anymore. That's fine. At least you've given a reason, and you'll make many people happy just by they knowing why you left.
If you don't mention a problem, how the heck are the leaders supposed to fix it?
Yeah, again,
It doesn't just apply
communication
to
is
big...
important.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it
Morgana.
doesn't just apply to big FCs, it applies to small FCs as well. It doesn't matter what the reason is. If there is a problem, we want to know because we want to fix it. We want to make our communities good for everybody.
Yeah, but if we're not aware of the problem, we can't do anything about it.
That is true.
But that's also always been the issue online with the vocal minority and the silent minority. Like, a lot of people don't voice their concerns, and then they just sit there and hope for things to get better, and eventually, like, it's not gonna change the way I want it to, and then they leave. Communities, FCs, you name it. That's how some people work. Because some people are a bit socially awkward and a bit shut in, and it's hard to reach some of those people. And, yeah. Sometimes you have to take the first step, and sometimes you just have to realize that this is not the time for this person to do this right now in their lives.
Yeah.
Agree.
So, we're approaching
Right.
like the 2-hour mark or so.
Yeah, so I think we'll move on to the last thing, and that's FC alliances. I don't think we really have much time for the ending part, but just as alongside as FC alliances go, yeah, regardless of what server you're on, and even if your server doesn't have like what we have on Lich, where we have the Congress of Lich, make friends with FC leaders. They'll be some of the best things you'll ever do. Like when I first bumped into my problem in my FC, I contacted Morgana to see what I could do or what resolutions could I come up with, because it's a very, very difficult situation that I had on my hands, you know?
Yeah. That is the good thing
And-
about it.
It's just the matter of not only when it comes to FCs, you'll also make friends with them, which also makes fantastic when you want to maybe do events or run something together. Even for me, where I run a large FC, sometimes, just sometimes, there isn't enough people to do things, and it does happen. And I could go, let's say we want to do a 24-man roulette for whatever, and I could just go to Morgana and go, hey, do you want to get you and a few friends along? And if they were free, sure.
Yeah.
You know, you can do something like that. The chances are slim.
I
But
mean,
you can still do it.
I've run quite a lot of content with Morgana over the year or so that we've been friends. I mean, I think I remember back when the fountain and the little brick circle that it sits on were
Yes!
brand new. I helped her get it out of the Lost Canals.
I'm so grateful, and it has pride of place in my free company garden. I'm still monumentally grateful because it's such a gorgeous piece of furniture in this game.
And which is lovely, and that's why you make
So-
friends.
Yeah, just remember that all FCs and FC leaders they want to get along, you know? Or at least I'd like to say a lot of FCs do want to get along. I think there's a few out there that don't. but most FCs do just want to get along. The main reason for that is they know they're not going to poach or steal members. Why? Because each FC has a reason for existing, and it has its differences with other FCs. You know?
Yeah. It's good.
Like, Morgana, would you say your FC is very much more role-playing orientated than?
Yes, I definitely would. Although not every single member of our free company is made to roleplay, we do, our internal community and our extended community, encourage people to give it a shot, because so many people have got sort of idea in the midst of what it is, and it's quite frequently not what they think. And it's not also limited to a certain type of player as well. There are so many different sorts of players that enjoy role playing, and I want to try and sort of banish some of these preconceptions that people have got.
Just don't do it in the Limsa Plaza.
Or at least
Right,
if you do it in party, so you don't lose your lines.
So I do think that the main point to take out of this, just overall, is there's so many nice things you can do with other FCs, regardless if you're a leader or not. It doesn't matter. If you're just an FC member, go contact another FC. Just play with them, because I can guarantee you, if I know someone in my FC who wants to roleplay, I can tell them right away who to contact now.
Yeah.
And that makes the world a difference, you know? Like when I've had a member leave, he wanted to join a German guild because he was German. Now I know that, like, he was a really nice guy, so if I know someone who just wants to join a German guild, I know who to contact to tell them where to go.
Which is good.
I mean,
So
Angels. Let me see. Angels FC is at least currently an arm of the Baldessian Discord that he runs.
Basically.
Your FC is just an extraordinarily large FC.
with the friendly community.
Yes, that's the point though. It's your FC's big thing is the community within it.
Yeah.
My FC is, I've set it up to be a progression FC. So if you want to get better at something, I come to my FC to get better at it. Whether it's crafting or gathering or raiding or interior design or a treasure hunt map. I don't actually know what Tomoyo's FC is.
This my FC is all around. Family, you can come for everything. Doesn't matter. Everyone is welcome. So you have a nice community going on, and your background and stories now doesn't matter. Just have fun. And I'm a person that is really open in a lot of things. You can communicate really well with me, and also got an alliance with Morgana, of course with Angel, because I'm part of the mod team of Citadel of Light. And I think Kaida and I can work something out too. So you know, I try to build out a big network, and I mean, I got myself on Lich, I got myself on Zodiac, and yeah, I think it's really nice. Just I can help each other out, and that's what I love about this game, about this community, and I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah, and that's the key point as well, is like now with the cross-world thing, just remember guys, there's just even more people to contact, have fun with, and more events to do. So just remember, because of this new cross-world thing, it's actually just going to make the community even better in Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
We'll kick the crap people away and we'll keep the good ones.
And if they do tell what I said, they hinted at a while ago, and make all the 8 link shells we have right now cross-world link shells at Shadowbringers launch, that would really help too.
They have said, the devs have explicitly said that they want to do that.
Yeah, and hopefully they can do that, because it would help a lot. So we don't have to do everything on Discords. Like, give us the tools to do it in-game, because some people don't like Discord.
Not only that, it's a pain in the ass to have like 24 Discords just to do with Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's true.
I really wish at some point Discord allows us to organize our servers into folders. Because
That
Oh
would
my
be good.
god.
Oh yes.
God, please.
Oh my, I would
Lovely.
be so happy.
It's like
I'd be
I don't
so
use
happy.
I don't use Discord for a whole lot, to be honest, and I still have 20 servers on the side.
Yeah, I have like close to
I
40.
have like 40 plus servers. Yeah, I think I have 40 plus. I have
don't
far
know
too
how
many.
many I've got. Far too many, though, whatever
So
number
many.
it is.
Yeah. One thing I would really love to do in Discord, if we could at least color code text channels and voice channels differently. Because everything is just
Yeah,
gray with white text. Come on.
You mispress it all the time.
Yes!
It happens to everyone.
Everyone, like at least once or twice a week, everyone does it. At least.
Perhaps we should
I
write all of these down and send them to Discord as like feedback.
Right. I think we should definitely at some point have a chat about Discord
Yes.
as a podcast thing, because I think we all have our opinions on it. Actually,
yeah.
not just Discord, voice programs.
Yes.
Can we have an
Discord is-
episode about Skype?
Discord is
Yes.
Discord is pretty good for what it is, which is a free system with very little in the way of proper support, made by a bunch of furry pedophiles.
Excuse me?
I don't think that it is made by that category of people.
No, Discord got in trouble over that.
Oh yeah, no, they really
Yeah.
did.
I'm not saying
Like,
everyone that runs it is. I'm not saying everyone that runs it is that, but at least one of the main coders, producers, whatever, for Discord got in trouble for being that.
Yeah, but think about it like this. Discord is like insulary. Insulary as fuck. It's not on any search engine. You can make a server and post whatever the hell you want in there, and only the people you invite will probably know about it.
No, I'm aware of that.
It's basically the dark web, but accessible to anyone.
The
Which
dark,
is a bit
right.
weird.
dark web of
Okay,
me.
okay,
Anyway,
So-
guys,
We gotta wrap this up
Mm.
now.
Yeah. Alright, so last thing, so we'll do any plugs that we need. So all of us play on the Citadel of Light. Quite commonly we do BA there, so feel free to drop in there. Morgana does a lot of role playing, so if you have any questions about it or feel like doing some role playing, feel free to contact her, I presume.
Mr.
yes.
Dean, I think it's better to go around the room and let everyone plug their own stuff. That would be probably the easiest. So start with your stuff.
Me,
Mhm.
I do a lot of Twitch. I do a bit of BA. Actually, stream quite a bit of that, and I also run my own Discord and FC. So if you're interested, there will be Discord link in the description for any more information.
Yeah, we will add links to everything we plug right now to your Twitch and to your YouTube, Mr. Dean. And
Yeah.
you don't have a Twitter or anything else you're usually using, right?
No, I don't use Twitter.
No.
I'm not that hip.
I try, but I am way too old to figure it out properly. Just like Instagram.
I don't like Twitter because it takes everything bad about social media and just doubles down on it.
Yeah, I spent 3 hours of my life trying to figure out Instagram back and forth, and in the end I managed to upload some photos, but I couldn't crop them properly, and everything's super dumb. So, no, Instagram is not...
Right.
Yes, moving on. Do you have anything else?
Do you?
Yes. Okay, so...
I was going to move on to you.
Right. So, I am Angel Lux. I am the main admin dude over on the Citadel of Light, where we host the BA runs, mostly on the light side of the FFX IV data center on Europe. I also host a raiding Discord, which is kind of the sister Discord, where we do a lot of Savage raiding, and also the other 8-man content and 4-man content, Paths of the Dead and Heaven and 9, all that good stuff. And for both of these places, the Citadel of Light, and for myself, we are today launching a Patreon, because I'm in a financial crisis, and the Citadel of Light could probably use someone to pay for Ceramic and other stuff like that, so I don't have to pay for that out of my pocket. So that's just so we can continue doing what we're doing, and on an even bigger scale, and better. And you can also find me on Twitch and on Twitter, and I will link all that stuff down below.
One of the stretch goals is going to be sending an assassin to chloroform Angel so he finally goes to sleep.
No, we're
If only chloroform works like that.
Alright.
And if chloroform doesn't work, it's just going to be it's going to be a half brick and a sock.
just a sock full of oranges, right?
What?
Yeah, I'll send you a clip later about that. Go on, Vera. Do you have anything to plug?
Join my FC. I badly need new blood.
So that's which SC on what server?
The auxiliaries, just the tag is just AUX, AUX, on Lich.
Yeah, Dean, do you wanna,
We're an 8th rank FC. We've got you've seen the FC house if you tuned in here at the start. We have airships and a Discord. We've got all of the functional stuff, and you have a leader which plays this game far too much. Also, I am actually planning on starting up my own Twitch stream at some point, but I'll probably end up plugging that in the next.
Hell yeah, my dude. Dean, by the way, do you want to plug your FC too?
I already did.
Oh yeah, you already did all through the podcast. I'm not sleeping over here, by the way. Morgana, do you want to plug?
He doesn't sleep at all. He needs help.
Yes.
I would love to have the chance to plug a few different bits and pieces. I personally run the Silver Valkyrie Events Discord. We have the Discord, obviously, and we also have a Tumblr page to make things a little bit easier. So if you were to head to Silver Valkyrie Events, all one word, .tumblr.com, you will find us there. Link will be in the description as well. And if you are looking for a roleplay focused Discord, a roleplay focused free company, you can find me on Lich server. Please feel free to send me a DM. And I'm just going to pass this back to Tomoyo because she's been really quiet over there. Tomoyo, do you have anything to plug?
No, not really. Yeah, my FC is called Storm. Tech is Boom. Because Star was taken by 8 FCs on my server. Yeah, I no other choice. We were the first one to have that tag, but everyone stole it, so
Of
happened.
course.
So now we we are all around FC. We have nice family style, really communicative. We sometimes do Jackbox games as well. And yeah, first part of the Citadel Light community, which is lovely. Role playing as well, and yeah. So if you're ever interested in my FC or just want to talk, you can always DM me. So, no problem. And I'll probably see you all around for sure.
All right.
Sounds awesome.
Feel free to send a tell or something.
So I think to wrap everything up, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you yet again with Angel Lux, my co-host here. Thank you to Tomoyo Furukawa for showing up. Thank you to Variel for also being here again today. And thank you, Morgana Browne, for also being here as well.
It was a pleasure.
It surely was lovely. Thanks for having me.
Could you kindly
Alright.
stand up now so I can put the chairs back?
Yep.
Oh, it's just like having real guests over.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you please get off my chair? I need to move it.
Like, it was nice when you guys came around 2 hours ago, but can you, like, please get the fuck out? I need to take a shower and clean the place.
I need to go clear the Moogles out of the chimney.
So yeah, next week we don't know where we're gonna record, but it's gonna be somewhere else. We're gonna record on location, somewhere new each time, and we encourage everyone to come and join us. This was on a Tuesday. It's probably gonna be on the weekends and announced in advance, so we give people more of a bit heads up. But you know,
Yeah, it's going to
scheduling.
probably be on the Saturday, the Sunday. Hope.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get Angel to decide on an actual schedule.
Dude,
No,
What?
I want one as well.
me? Why am I? Okay, okay, we're gonna do this on Saturday.
This is your project.
Okay. Right, alright.
It's not just his, it's
No.
mine and his.
Yeah, let's see. Blame him. Half the blame is him.
Whatever, I just turn up and ramble. I'm out of here.
And with that, it's probably a good idea if we sign off.
Yeah. So,
Thank you
everyone,
guys for tuning in, and talk to y'all later.
Yeah.
Bye.
thank you
Take
much
care.
for
Thanks
coming.
for joining.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone. See you next time on ExCog Radio. Bye.
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 Bye.